Hello and welcome to the Build a Windows Virtual Machine Template and Image Screencast. The aim of this screencast is to demonstrate how to build the Windows Virtual Machine Golden Image, which can be used to instantiate virtual machines in the future. Building the virtual machine-based Golden Image for future usage in a multi-VM deployment consists of having the Windows Template Blueprint. This is the specific virtual machine template available on the OpenNebula public marketplace. This template comes with the CD-ROM disks that contain the necessary drivers and the VM configuration settings that are optimal for running Microsoft Windows operating systems. Microsoft Windows pre-installed images cannot be distributed, and that is the reason why in this case we must perform the installation manually. The installation media must be acquired from the official sources. VirtIO drivers needed for paravirtualization are not packed with Microsoft's operating system and must be selected manually during the installation process. Additionally, to enable the management of a virtual machine, the OpenNebula contextualization package is needed. The mentioned software is going to be imported along with the virtual machine template from the OpenNebula marketplace. Firstly, import the virtual machine template with image from the OpenNebula marketplace. Upload an ISO that you've acquired from the official sources to the image data store. A more detailed process on creating and uploading images to the data store can be found in the official OpenNebula documentation. During the instantiation, you must attach the installation media to the virtual machine and make sure that it is going to boot from this media. Additionally, you might need to adjust the OVMF code path if you are running certain flavors of the host operating systems. Perform the installation of a Microsoft Windows operating system by following the wizard and then install the contextualization package. If the virtual machine was instantiated with a persistent OS disk, simply power down and terminate the virtual machine in order to save changes. Otherwise, power down the virtual machine and use the Save As function to save the virtual machine disks as an image. There are two options to proceed with. First option, the Windows installation ISO is uploaded onto the OpenNebula with bus set to parallel ATA or IDE. It's used to install Windows operating system on an empty virtual machine disk. Second option is to use the virtual machine disk with the pre-installed Windows operating system. It can be used right away to instantiate the virtual machine from the imported Windows virtual machine template by replacing the empty disk. We will be following the first option in this demonstration, assuming that OpenNebula already has the Windows installation ISO. A Windows Virtual Machine template blueprint was developed and made available via the OpenNebula public marketplace. That template contains a set of following files and recommended settings for the Windows virtual machines. Empty disk that to be used either for Windows installation or to be replaced with already pre-installed Windows operating system. VirtIO Win ISO, an image file containing paravirtualized drivers required for optimal performance of Windows virtual machines. One context.iso, image file containing the OpenNebula contextualization package. To import that virtual machine template into your OpenNebula cloud, you need to go to Apps in the storage menu. You can type Windows in the search bar to filter out the output. Check Windows Virtual Machine Template and press the Import button. Click Next on the first screen, select the data store you want to save the images onto. Go to Storage, Images and check the image status. While waiting for all new images to reach the ready state, you can update the imported virtual machine template. Tune the CPU, vCPU, memory and other values. Enable TPM support in case of necessity. Click the Next button to process to the next screen and finish when you are done with changes. Select the Windows VM template, press Instantiate button, specify the virtual machine name, change the amount of memory as well as CPU and vCPU cores. Click the Next button when you are done on the screen to proceed to the next one. On the Storage tab, resize the empty disk image and set the appropriate size. This disk is going to be the target disk for the operating system installation. Then attach the Windows installation ISO. Make sure that the boss attribute is set to IDE. Switch to the OS booting tab and make sure that the Windows installation ISO is first in the boot order. Press the Finish button when you are done with all of the configuration steps. Wait until the virtual machine is going to change the state to running and the VNC icon becomes available. Press the VNC icon. You should be able to observe an attempt to boot from the Windows installation ISO. If you haven't triggered the installation by pressing any key during the startup, press the Ctrl-Alt-Del button on top of the VNC screen to reboot the virtual machine. Proceed with Windows installation as usual. Currently the drive selection is empty. To fix that, we must load the VirtIO driver. Click the Load Driver button, then Browse and select the drive with the VirtIO ISO disk. Expand the AMD64 directory and select the one that is named after the version of Windows you are installing. Select the Red Hat VirtIO SCSI controller option and click the Install button. You might need to click the Bring Disk Online button on the next screen to make the corresponding disk available for the installation. As soon as you reach the Customize Settings screen, define a secure password for the administrator user and click Finish button. Enter the password for the administrator user to log into the Windows operating system. On the Send Diagnostic Data to Microsoft screen, select an appropriate option and press the Accept button. Upon successful login, run the File Explorer application and open WinVirtIO ISO disk. Scroll down and double-click VirtIO WinGT x64 MSI file to run the installer. Complete the installation procedure. OpenNebula provides a set of contextualization packages for different operating systems that integrate virtual machine guests with the OpenNebula services. The OpenNebula contextualization process allows to automatically configure guest networking and hostname settings, set up user credentials for seamless virtual machine access, define the system time zone, resize the disk partitions as needed, execute custom actions during the startup process. So it's highly recommended to install the OpenNebula contextualization packages as well. Since the Windows virtual machine was instantiated with a non-persistent image, the changes must be saved manually before you terminate the virtual machine. For that purpose, power off the virtual machine. Go to Instances, VMs, check the corresponding virtual machine and select Power Off Operation from the Virtual Machine State drop-down menu. While having the virtual machine selected, switch to the Storage tab and press a floppy disk icon located next to the name of the corresponding disk where the Windows operating system has been installed. Provide image name and press Accept button. The virtual machine will change its state to hot plug save as power off. Wait till it reaches power off again and terminate the virtual machine. Now let's verify that our images are working by instantiating two test virtual machines from the saved image. Specify virtual machine name. Put %IDX in that field if you want OpenNebula to assign the sequential index to each instantiating virtual machine. Define the amount of instances you would like to instantiate in the corresponding field. Change the amount of memory as well as CPU and vCPU cores if needed. Click the next button when you are done on that screen to proceed to the next one. On the Storage tab, delete all the disks and attach the saved one. Switch to the Network tab and attach the network card from the required virtual network. Once you're done here, press the Finish button. Now let's test the virtual machine functionality. Log in into the first virtual machine via the VNC. Execute the get-tpm command to check the TPM module presence. Execute ipconfig/all to check network settings. Execute ping command to reach the gateway and the second virtual machine. As you can see, the networking is running, we have the TPM module presence, as well as the overall virtual machine is functioning as expected. Thank you for watching and see you in the next screencast.